Hello, Salo. How are you?
Great. How are you, Marcelo? Nice to see you again.
I'm all right. I'm all right. Thank you very much. So it's a great pleasure for us in the Safety Day here to have you guys from QLEARON to take part in the program, especially to describe yourself and actually introduce your products and services here to our Brazilian audience. So how are you today?
We're great. We're great in these strange times where, even congresses and trade shows become virtual. But luckily, we have the technology to allow us to do that. So, yeah, talking about technology, QLEARON is an Israeli technology company. We were previously branded Nanosono. We're just undergoing rebranding of our company. And we are a privately held startup. We've been, for the past 5 years, concentrating specifically in developing technology, nanotechnology that is geared and targeted to prevent cross-contamination and infections, particularly bacterial infections, and more specifically, antibiotic-resistant infections by antibiotic-resistant bacteria. Because as you know, this is the real pandemics. I mean, viral pandemics are very serious, but they are cyclic and they come and go, and we always either find a vaccine or they just disappear or there are mutations and so on, and then we learn to live with it.
All right. So I would ask you to briefly tell us this difference between antiviral and antibacterial in terms of getting people to know exactly the way we apply your products.
Right. What happens is that, as I was saying, viruses or viral pandemics, they come and go. There's always going to be a new virus, like we're now undergoing with the corona. Then we had the SARS, and we had the swine flu, and we had the Middle Eastern flu, and there's all these type of things that come and go. The real pandemic is that is being caused by bacterial antibiotic-resistant bacteria. In particular, those that take place inside the hospitals, because those are what we call the superbugs, the most aggressive, because they've been exposed to so much antibiotics that they mutate and develop resistance. So once you get an infection by that type of bacteria, you are very likely to be very sick, and you might even very likely die. The CDC in the United States calculates that by the year 2050, there's going to be about 10 million deaths a year, just thanks to these superbugs. So this is where what we are targeting is avoiding that cross-contamination and killing, in particular, those bacteria, which is, as we see it, the real pandemic and the real danger.
Great. So if I may ask, what is QLEARON? How would you describe?
QLEARON is a technology that is based on a couple of metal oxides that has been designed in such a way that it has great attributes in terms of, number one, its antibacterial activity. In other words, it kills instantly upon contact, given its mechanism of action. Number two, is not based in leaching. In other words, in the release of any ions, of metal ions. And that has great implications. Number one is that it is not toxic. There are many other fantastic technologies out there that are based on the release of ions. So that is very efficient in terms of killing the bugs, but has a problem, excuse me, that can be toxic. And at the same time, because there is no leaching, the activity remains constant throughout time. So you can even talk about permanence. So the combination of these things, and the last very, very important thing about QLEARON is that our technology, because again of its very advanced design, the concentrations required of our material in whatever application we want to put it in a paint in the wall or in the fabric and in the in the mask or things like that are so small that when you combine all these three factors that I just spoke about, we end up having a very, very cost-efficient, ongoing, constant antibacterial, and in many cases also antiviral, because it depends on the application, particle. And that's the advanced technology that we have been for 5 years producing, and now we're in the process of bringing it to market.
Great. It looks really, let's say, revolutionary, isn't it? And in terms of physically, how does the product looks like? Is it like a liquid? It is powdering? How it works?
Great. First of all, I have to clarify that right now we have some technologies, and we have quite a pipeline of technologies coming out in the next year or two. In other words, we're constantly advancing and improving. The current technology that we're talking about is powder. It's essentially a powder based on those micro composites, all right, of microparticles. Now, according to where we're going to apply it, for example, if I'm going to apply it in the paint to use it in the walls, which we do, all I need to do is mix that powder inside the paint. This happens in the industrial plant where the paint is being prepared, and the technology to do it is very simple. That is one aspect. But if I'm going to put that particle in a fabric, for example, excuse me, so on that fabric, I need to apply it in a different way. I need to do a certain type of treatment to that particle so that it will attach to the matrix of the fabric. So according to where we're going to be and where we're going to apply it, there are different treatments that we might do to that same particle, so that it will acquire several different forms or vehicles in order to be applied in different matrices. But essentially, the product itself is a powder, and from then on, we take it to the different directions.
Fantastic. It looks very innovative. Congratulations on your solution anyway. So what happens now? Is there any sort of plans for Brazil and Latin American region would you like to share with us?
Absolutely. We are, as I mentioned, we spent quite a few years and not a little amount of effort and money and neurons in developing this technology and many others that are in the pipeline and which are patented technologies. We as a company are pretty vertically integrated in the sense that we know how to bring the idea, conceive the concept, prove it, analyze it, prove the antibacterial efficacy, and even go into a pre-industrial pilot batching from a production standpoint. So we know how to do all that. What we as a company do is that we partner up with leaders in the specific applications that we're looking for. Example, a pharmaceutical company or cosmetic company, when we're talking about our cream, we have a cream that is a pretty disruptive product with antibacterial, antimycotic, anti-acne, wound healer, etc. So we would partner up with that type of company, pharmaceutical, cosmetical, to do that type of development, or with a paint company to do the conversion of the antibacterial paints and so on and so forth. So what we do is we would come with what we're looking for is to license our technology to these type of partners, and they would take it from there, do all the regulatory and the industrial and commercialization of the product. So that's exactly the stage that we're at right now. So that's
great.
We're in the turning point of being able to take this fantastic technology out there to the market with the correct partners.
It's fantastic. Great place and right place and right time. And I know you speak Spanish as well. I know you have been developing this region for a while already. And as this interview goes, I know you are in Colombia. So what are your goals for Brazil?
Okay, Brazil in particular, as I said, we are planning. You're right. I'm in Colombia right now because we're putting a lot of emphasis in all Latin America. all right, of course, of which Brazil is not a small player. And we dare say is probably the most important player in the, for obvious reasons, in the area, and probably one of the biggest markets in the world. And our goal for Brazil is to find, as I said, the correct partners in the three different categories that we're handling right now, which is the paint category, the pharmaceutical or cosmetic category, and what we would call fabrics, textiles, which is, but in particular, non-woven fabrics, which are the three matrices in general that we've been able to develop until this point, and we are ready to take transfer. So our goal is that we already have, of course, a good few leads, so we're working on them, but we wanna really penetrate this market with this cost-efficient and very antibacterial, with very high antibacterial efficacy. Within the next 6 months to a year, be already present in the market.
Brilliant, brilliant. So, and in addition to your profile here on Hospitalar Hub, and how people can connect with you, how do we find QLEARON?
First of all, you can find us in LinkedIn. You can find us on the web. As I said, we're in the process of rebranding. So our website is, as we speak, being revamped. So you could still find us as nanosono.com. But we're going to come out with the launching in it's a matter of the next couple of weeks. But we have, of course, a Facebook page as QLEARON, and we have a LinkedIn page as QLEARON, and we are available always to reply any query, and be happy to talk and answer questions, and hopefully find the right partners to move forward.
Sounds fantastic. Sounds fantastic to me. So, leading us to the end of our gentle conversation here, is there any final statement would you like to tell to our Brazilian colleagues here?
Absolutely. The final statement. First of all, final statement sounds a little scary.
Come on. I mean, final considerations. So, final consideration.
Absolutely. Sure. First of all, as I said, it's great to be back in Brazil. I've been there quite a few times, and I enjoy very much always going, and having pão de queijo for breakfast and some other nice things. But yeah, as far as our technology is concerned, I think that in an age where the population in general that has become so much more aware of the necessity to keep clean and to reduce cross-contaminations. And this is something that is very interesting. It's a process that has happened from the bottom up. People are requiring and demanding solutions to keep clean and to keep, to avoid contaminations and infections. And from the top down also, governments are in many countries already by law, every hospital has to have not a regular non-woven gown, but that gown has to be antibacterial. All right, so that's the direction that we're moving. So it's interesting that in a place like Brazil with over 200 million people, and where sadly also the economic condition of a lot of that population is not proper and is very prone to infection and cross-contamination as well. Here we come with a technology that is very cost efficient and is very easy to apply. In the hospitals, you just paint the hospitals, use the curtains, the bed sheets, the gowns, you convert that into antibacterial, and then you start creating these antibacterial and antiviral environments. And then you start seeing that the economic burden of these infections, which is in the billions of dollars, starts to come down very, that translates, of course, into a huge financial burden, into labor days lost, into lives lost, and so on and so forth. So the message to our Brazilian brothers is that here we come. I think we have something interesting to offer. I hope we can implement this technology promptly for everybody's benefit. I think there is a great things to be gained, mostly health at not additional cost to the current conditions. So I think that's my final statement.
Fantastic, fantastic. So thank you so much, Salo, for your time, for taking the chance to share your experience and, of course, your product details with us here. I strongly believe it has helped us in the digital journey here, and I hope to see you guys down here in Brazil soon.
God willing, things are the dust is gonna settle. This pandemic, as we know, is gonna end, and we're gonna end up with the real issues that we're gonna need to tackle, which is the super bugs. At that time,
That's
I
right.
hope I'll be able to visit, presentially, be there in person, and to visit again our beautiful Sao Paulo, Rio, and many other. All right.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate your compliment. So,
Thank you,
bye
Marcelo.
bye.
Bye. Thanks so much. Take care.